My name is Talia Smith. I am the curator at the Granville Centre Art Gallery. I come from Auckland, New Zealand and have lived in Sydney for 6 years. I'm of Samoan, Cook Island and New Zealand European heritage. My personal heritage background, we are of a culture that is predominantly oral histories, not written down, but it doesn't mean that it's any less important. And I think that's what really influences my work, and also I speak a lot about my cultural heritage, but that is something that is incredibly important to me. In everything I do, it is always there in the back of my mind. So I've worked in lots of different kinds of art organisations, from very small, fully publicly funded institutions to a not funded at all artist-run space, to a larger institution that is part local government funded and then part public funded. I will say they're all very, very different, but also similar in that we all have the same goal, that we want to help support artist practices and engage communities with art and art making and those kinds of ideas. An artist-run space is an experimental space, and that's very great and exciting, especially when you're at art school or you're a little bit younger and you have the energy to keep running a space on literally nothing. That's a ground where you can make a lot of mistakes and you can experiment a lot, and that's exciting. When you get into a more organisation, things kind of change. So like politics can come into play. When you are at like a local council, you're just one department in many departments of a whole entire council. So that can be interesting to negotiate, those kind of relationships. I think as a curator, the relationship you have with an artist, at least for me, because I also am an artist, is like a mentor, I think. You are there to bring out the best of their ideas and their work, and to support them in really pursuing what they're doing. I think a lot of the research in terms of concepts or ideas come from conversations that I have had with peers or artists, colleagues, that just kind of ignite an idea in my mind that I want to explore further. I think that my research process is quite intuitive. There is no A to Z in the way that I do it. Everybody is different, and I think that that's mine, and it probably comes from being an artist and that my artist practice is intuitive. It sounds like, yes, I do a lot of talking and listening, and I think that that's super important in curatorial practice. I think in Australia, Clotilde Bullen, who is Indigenous curator at the MCA, is one of my big idols. There's also Joanna Gordon-Smith, who's at Pātaka Museum in New Zealand, and then Zoe Whitley, who is now the director of Chisenhall Gallery in London. Because they're really strong women of colour who always champion diverse voices in whatever they do and in the roles that they've had. And so I believe that those three women are really pioneering practices and making organisations and institutions a safer place for those from diverse backgrounds to show or to have careers. And I really admire that in all of them. In terms of advice, I would really love to say that it is hard, and there are times when it feels like it's not made for you, but I would want you to know that your stories are incredibly important, and no one else can tell you that they're not.